Let's talk about Erwin Smith, shall we? Cool, collected, calm, hyped up, enraged, sad. Sounds like a lot of personality traits, right? It's like that movie with that guy who plays 3 different people at the same time. But wait, we're not here to talk about James McAvoy showing off his acting chops. That's a bit too extreme, even for my taste. But Erwin, man, that guy's a machine. While all these personality traits are present in him, it doesn't make him weird. For one reason or another, it makes him even more human, or as per our thumbnail, more realistic. Yes, I know Attack on Titan is very realistic in its portrayal of human emotions. From Reiner and Eren's PTSD to Annie's utter indifference to the people inside the walls when she's gone Titan mode, the examples are plentiful. Being one of the major characters in the series, Erwin goes through a serious shift of layers within his personality throughout the years. This 2-part video series aims to decipher the character traits of Erwin Smith, showcasing his personality as representative of real-life individuals and events. Moreover, we'll also be analyzing how much the events that he was a part of influenced him as a person. For this video, I want to give out a spoiler warning since I'll be going right in the chain of events that happen in Attack on Titan. So let's begin the dissection of Erwin Smith, shall we? One of the best things about Erwin Smith is that even when the going gets tough, Erwin's resolve doesn't falter. I mean, this is a guy whose entire life is filled with witnessing death and destruction at the hands of Titans. Even then, when he holds on to the reins of command, he's calm and collected, like a true stoic general in times of war. Whenever I look at the scenes of Erwin leading the charge, I always think about Lieutenant Richard Winters from the series Band of Brothers. Now, for those who have watched the series, Lieutenant Winters is quite the stoic man. He commands his troops tactfully and helps them gain victories over the Axis forces in Europe during World War II. But there is a twist to that. While Erwin might exhibit some character traits relative to Winters, it doesn't mean that he's the embodiment of the character. Here's how. When he's leading the charge and planning to capture the female Titan, he's got everything planned out ahead of time. He knows what he needs to do and even manages to implement his trap. Of course, in the end the female Titan manages to get the better of him, but that was very much unexpected. The point of telling you this is to show that Erwin was a methodical commander and a good tactician when it came down to it. In planning and execution, he was similar to Winters in the series, but while he might be a good strategist, there is no denying the other end of Erwin Smith, which is his embodiment of a living, breathing hype machine. This is the point where I don't consider him a capable commander at all, but even then, there is redemption for Erwin. Whenever Erwin leads the charge, everything is haphazard, yet Erwin keeps at it. All that cool, calm and collected persona vanishes and you see a man who just keeps pushing himself and his men into scenes that resemble nothing less than a ritual suicide. Yes, the planning is there, but the charge is just too deadly to begin with. The worst part about it is that Erwin knows that it's a deadly charge. Looking Erwin and his command going into certain death, I can't help but think of the bayonet charges of World War I depicted perfectly in the film 1917. It also has similarities with the banzai charge used by the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II. While the results of those attacks might vary, there is no denying the massive loss of life that they caused. Another analogy that pops into my head, and one which is very representative of this channel, is when Madara arrives to fight the allied shinobi forces. While not depicted as violently as Erwin's charges, the anxiety of an Uchiha god running towards you is more than unnerving to witness. Speaking of Madara, this content is not from the Naruto series, and it took us quite a while to decide that we'll cover this since it doesn't fit our niche. However, we're proud of this 2-part series, and for those watching, we'd love it if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Okay, now that we've deviated from Erwin Smith yet again, let's put our foot in the swamp and redeem Erwin Smith's insanity. You might disagree with me on this, but this is the point where you need to respect Erwin. Unlike the generals and Kages mentioned in the previous analogies, Erwin was leading the charge, knowing that he might also die at any moment. The battle cries were a way for him to keep leading himself and his men into the heart of Titan territory. Now, did a lot of people under his command die in the most brutal manner as possible? Yes, they did. But all of Erwin's outrageous charges led the Survey Corps to eventually find Grisha Yeager's basement, which contained the actual story of the Titans and humanity. Could all of that have been avoided? Yes, but there would have been complications to that since the Survey Corps, as we see, doesn't have the logistical superiority over the Titans. But even then, those soldiers didn't die in vain, and considering that the whole series is a war against an impossible enemy, there will always be collateral, realistically speaking. For better or for worse, these were the soldierly qualities of Erwin Smith. But here's where it gets interesting. He was still a human being with a beating heart, and it's that heart that gives him an introspective layer. Part 2 of this video will discuss the impact his job had on his psyche, and how Erwin's introspection makes him even more unique of a character. So stay tuned and subscribe if you like the content.